It's all right. It's all right. Do you get that just when you enter Target? Like you go, like people are just like, wow!
I wish, huh?
So wait, do you get into Christmas? Do you?
I love Christmas.
too.
It is my favorite holiday.
Me too.
I love it. And
Yeah.
we usually spend Christmas in Hawaii.
Which is kind of different because
It is.
not very snowy.
Not very snowy,
Yeah.
but nice.
Yeah.
It's where Barack is from,
Yeah.
so that's where his family is. And because it's so far away, it's really the time we get to spend with them, so it's become a tradition.
I love Hawaii.
I do
you
too.
love Hawaii?
I mean, that was half the reason why I said yes.
What was
Like, in-laws, beach,
You're
sun,
cool.
that's like, I think I love
From
you.
Hawaii, yeah. You got lucky there. So wait, before the show, we asked our Rad Mom viewers if they had any question for Mrs. Obama. So let's do one of those right now. So Alicia from Minneapolis asks, before we had kids, my husband and I agreed to share the work oh, sorry. To share the work of parenting 50-50.
Oh, see, we all laugh. You could barely even get that out. Like, silly man.
Both of us have careers. Let me tell you, it's 70-30 on a good day. I think you're winning. I realize this man will probably never change, which is frustrating because he's truly a good dad and husband. What is your advice on how to manage my feelings about this? I feel like we should just send her Elsa singing Let It Go.
Yeah. It's like,
you know what?
But that's great. You know, that's great advice. We have all been through it. That whole 50-50, I write in the book
that
about
doesn't exist,
partner. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it's not realistic.
Yeah.
What I would say is...
You're busier at different times, too.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
has it been 50-50 in moments? No. Has it been 50-50 for me over 30 years? Yes, it balances out.
Oh, I like that, yeah.
So what my advice would be, make sure you're taking care of yourself, you know, because that's the thing that we do. Sometimes we take on more because we feel guilty when we go work out or when we go to the hairdresser. And so and we also don't trust him with our kids.
Will they arrive intact without a broken bone?
Intact. So we have to, like you said, let it go.
Yeah.
My advice, when I stopped resenting my husband for that, was when I started prioritizing myself and I didn't wait for him. So the help I learned didn't have to come from him, but I needed it. So I relied on my mom and my girlfriends and a broader community of people to give me that break so that I'm not so mad at him all the time.
I think that that's good too, though, as well, because a village is raising my kids with me. You know, whether it's grandma, whether it's my, sister, whether it's my nanny, whether it's my people around me, my friends. Like, I think a village is...
we've gotten out of that habit, that notion, we're making moms feel like they have to do it all.
Everything, yeah.
And it was never like that. I mean, we're really the first generation of the nuclear family. It's just like me, my husband, and my kids, or my partner and my kids. That was never the case. I was raised in community. I was raised with a great aunt downstairs.
I was raised in daycare.
Around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, you have to rely on a community of people to make it happen. That's the way you raise good kids, and they get benefit from being exposed to different people, different approaches.
Find more independence.
Exactly. So don't try to do it on your own.
Yeah.
You know, do it with him. Get his 30 and get the other 50 from other people.
And then listen to Let It Go in your head. Her new book is called The Light We Carry. So you've referred to your new book as a toolbox of sorts, which the only place I've ever heard this is either at my kids' school, it's a great school my kids go to, or in therapy, because it's something for it's something for your toolbox to learn. It's like, obviously I haven't learned this lesson because it keeps hitting me in the face.
That's
like,
right.
What does it mean for you, like a toolbox? What does that mean?
For me, it's just the habits and practices that I've accumulated over the course of my 58 years of life that get me through uncertainty and tough times, which we have all been going through. And I get asked a lot as the former First Lady, as somebody who's out there, as a public figure, as I'm sure you are, especially from young people. How do I find my voice? You know, how do I,
because sometimes you're afraid to say something.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
People want to know, how do you find a good partner? How do I parent? This book is my offering, but I also want this book to lead to a conversation of other mothers, women, people sharing how they get through. Because uncertainty is baked into the human experience. And I think too much time is spent trying not to feel anxious or feel uncertainty.
Filter yourself, like
to
an
filter
Instagram,
yourself.
yeah.
When the truth is, you got to just lean into the fact that that's part of life.
Life
so
can be
now,
messy.
how do we figure out how to manage it?
Yeah.
You know, how do we get through without falling apart?
I love what you just said too, because I feel like it's kind of a dedication to the book that ignited the light in you, right? I feel like that's what you're trying to do for others, is ignite their light.
Yeah, and everybody has that light.
Yeah.
And I think in times like this where we feel divided and the messaging out there is negative, we start to think there's no light out there. But my experience as the former First Lady living in this country is everybody's got that light. You know, and over time, it's either fueled, especially when we're kids, it's fueled by love and support and investment, or it can be slowly snuffed out by hatred and bigotry and lack of investment. They just get beaten down, but the light is there. It's in all of us.
I feel like, too, it's about small things, because I feel like the world can be overwhelming. Even like this show, we have such a stage to help so many people, but it can be overwhelming. There's so much need. There's so many people doing amazing things, but it can get overwhelming, especially watching the news. Can be very just soul crushing.
It can be paralyzing.
Yeah, just soul crushing, and you're like, you kind of feel hopeless, but I feel like it's the small things. I feel like you touch on this too,
It's
right?
one of the chapters. It's called The Power of Small.
And those small little ripples make a big
give
difference.
that advice to a lot of young kids who feel overwhelmed by the bigness of the problems we're facing and they're facing. What I've learned to do is to control what I can. And throughout the stages in my life, that power and control has varied. You know, what I was able to control at 15 is very different from what I can control as the First Lady of the United States. But what I could do was what I had control over. And sometimes that helps us to prevent from making great the enemy of the good. Sometimes if we feel like we can't fix everything, then we feel like we shouldn't do anything at all. And I don't want young people to get burnt out, especially as they're thinking about big problems like climate change and criminal justice and racism and global economy. It's
That's what I'm saying. It can be overwhelming, but maybe find a focus.
You're 15, you know. If you're 15, your focus should be school. You know, do your homework. That's what you can control. You know, don't bite off so much before you have the ability to really handle it. So there's a whole chapter on that. That's an important tool of mine. Even in my position, I stay hopeful because I look at the thing right in front of me that I can actually do. You know, we can't fix climate change if we're not going to vote. And voting is that small thing that we all control.
It's a big thing.
That is a big thing. That's the power of how small it is.
Power of the people, absolutely. So in this new book, you say your girls are in the flea market stage of life. So what is that?
That's a metaphor also for watching your adult children start to create home for themselves. So we went by their apartment, Barack and I, for cocktails before dinner.
Oh my gosh.
They had made a couple of weak martinis, which I was glad to know they didn't really know how to make martinis.
Like, did you put alcohol in it?
Yeah, it was bad, but it was a good effort, so they had the nerve to then, as we put down drinks, to be like, let me get a coaster. And I was like, oh, all of a sudden.
Oh, do we care about rings right now?
We care about coasters. You care about your little $4 coffee table.
I know.
You know? You didn't care about coasters in the White House for all 8 years. I didn't see you rushing to protect that antique.
It's so true, because I started making my kids, I take them to Target, I'm like, I'm gonna show you what toys cost, because you're unaware.
That's so good.
So I make them, and I said, they're like, we had $20, let's go get it. I go, yeah, let's go with your $20 and see what you're gonna get. And they were so disappointed, because everything is so expensive. And I'm like, welcome.
That's their whole, you know, they're very cheap now with their own money, which I appreciate.
With ours though, they're not. With my wallet, they're fine.
That's right, that's right. So, you know, cobbling together an apartment, building a life, creating their own friendships, watching them build their own community. It's like better than I expected. I mean, I miss having them with me, but just watching them become real people in the world and doing okay.
And adulting.
Adulting, as they say. It's
I can't imagine my kids, like, they're 6 and 8.
And you know, you don't need to. They're not ready yet.
The world isn't ready yet.
They're not ready yet. That's why they're with you.
Another thing that a lot of us mamas deal with is making friends as an adult. And I love that you refer to this. Is it the kitchen table?
Yeah.
So explain me the kitchen table. I love this. That's cool.
I call it the kitchen table because growing up, everything happened in the kitchen, you know?
Yeah.
Because you come to your kitchen table for safety and love and security, right?
Yeah.
So I called it that. But for me, it's my friendship group outside of my family. I still have my mom, my family crew, but we, particularly as women, I find that my kitchen table, those are the other people that stop me from being mad at the 30% my husband is giving me.
Yeah.
Because they're stepping up and giving me what he cannot.
Yeah.
And I want my girls to practice developing a kitchen table. That's a tool.
Yeah.
A kitchen table is a tool, right?
Yeah.
And I experienced that as First Lady. I mean, I had to make new friends because I was still a mother raising kids. And rad moms know, you got to have mother friends in the school.
Yeah.
So I had to step out. Nobody was gonna come up to me. You know, you couldn't even get near me with security.
Yeah.
So
I was like, they're probably scared.
they were probably scared. So I tell the story of the first time I set up a play date for Sasha because I just had to find a mother that I thought I wanted to meet.
I just love that you're doing a play date.
We set up a play date.
I can't imagine that call.
She is now a good friend of mine, but at first I just saw her and I was like, why don't you have little Olivia come over? And of course she was like, sure. And so she later, as we became friends, she told me the story of what it was like coming to pick Olivia up after that, for coming to the White House, which, you know, what is on the other side of being my friend? Well, it is a Social Security check. It's you know,
background check.
Background check. It's a clear vet before you can even come in.
Oh my
the
gosh.
gate. Not to mention she wasn't even coming in the house, but she went and got her hair done, her nails done, washed her car.
She was like,
right?
yeah.
She was like, I am not showing up messy at the White House. And so she pulls in and I decide, outside of protocol, that I'm gonna take little Olivia down to the South Lawn, which you do not leave the residence as a principal because it sets off all this outside security. The counter assault team goes into action.
Oh my gosh.
Black flak jackets with machine guns, dogs, they start descending.
Yeah.
So here I come. Her car is now surrounded by security. I step out into the South Lawn with little Olivia, and I'm like, get out, let's come on out. But she had been explicitly told, under no circumstances, ma'am, are you to get out of your car.
This woman is about to pee her pants.
I'm like, get out, and she's like, So she slowly gets out, carefully, and we have a great chat. She played it all off. I didn't know any of this, so I'm retelling her story.
Oh, this is a nice woman.
And she is now one of my best friends. Olivia's like a daughter to me.
Oh.
You know, lo and behold, a new daisy popped up, and it is a beautiful thing. And if I hadn't taken the risk to extend myself and to reach out to a stranger, you know, and make a friend, she wouldn't be in my life. And so if I can make new friends, anybody can. All right?
Because there's people ready to... Oh my God, we need another break, but first, Mrs. Obama brought an early Christmas gift for everyone here. You are all going home with a copy of her new book, The Light We Carry.